Imagine stepping into one of the most opulent palaces ever constructed, where golden halls sparkle under crystal chandeliers and the air smells faintly of exotic flowers. Every corner is draped in luxurious silks and satin so rich it could wrap the globe twice. It's a place of decadence, grandeur, and unbridled elegance. This is the Grand Palace of Versailles in the 17th century. But as you take a deep breath, something starts to linger in the air. It's not the sweet scent of perfume or fresh flowers. It's a stench so vile that it could wilt a bouquet of roses from 20 paces. Yes, welcome to a world of beauty intertwined with brutality. A world where royal women, draped in jewels and titles, lived in absolute luxury on the outside, yet their personal hygiene was an unspeakable nightmare. Let's dive deep, metaphorically of course, into the world of Versailles' most unsanitary royal women. These shocking truths will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about cleanliness. Buckle up. This is not your typical royal story. 1. The shocking truth about bathing, a dirty secret. We all know that bathing is synonymous with cleanliness, but for the women of the royal court at Versailles, the idea of stepping into a tub of warm water was seen as something dangerous. Yes, dangerous. This was a time when doctors believed that warm water was an open invitation to disease. You see, they thought it opened your pores and let in all the nasty things floating around in the air. Add to that the voice of the church, which condemned bathing as a form of vanity. And just like that, bathing became taboo. Women of noble birth didn't have private baths or even daily showers. Instead, they were expected to make do with a damp cloth, not soaked in water, but in alcohol, vinegar, or even saliva. Yes, saliva, to cleanse their skin. But on the rare occasion they did bathe, it was a communal event. Imagine this, a family bathing together in the same tub of water, one after another. And guess who gets to go first? The men, of course. By the time the women got in, the water was lukewarm, murky, and filled with grime. And let's not forget the smell. Versailles wasn't just home to aristocrats. It was a stinky fortress where luxury and filth went hand in hand. 2. Versailles' lack of toilets, the royal potty problem. It's hard to believe, but Versailles, the palace of all palaces, had no proper toilets. The royal court, with its hundreds of rooms and thousands of guests, relied on chamber pots. These portable bowls were placed under beds, behind curtains, or in hidden corners. And when you were done with your business, you tossed it out the window. Can you imagine? The stench from chamber pots filled the air, and when nature called, it was often dumped into the street below, sometimes landing on unsuspecting passers-by. Even worse, the corridors of the palace were used as makeshift toilets. By 1715, a royal decree had to be issued to clean the palace corridors once a week. Not daily, not after events. Once a week, which was considered a massive improvement. And when it came to wiping, forget toilet paper. They used cloth scraps, leaves, straw, or, in desperate cases, their own hands. This hygiene disaster led to rampant disease and the spread of parasites. 3. The terrifying truth about wigs and lice. In a world where appearance was everything, the hair of royal women was one of the most important features. But achieving the towering, ornate wigs that were the height of fashion in the 17th century came with a heavy price: lice. To achieve these extravagant styles, women stuffed their hair with wire, horsehair, wool, or cotton. Then they slathered their hair with animal fat, especially beef tallow, to keep it in place. But this created the perfect breeding ground for lice. Lice infestations were so common at court that they were practically expected. To combat the itching, women used long-handled silver lice claws to scratch their heads, often at social events or while dining. But despite the discomfort, no one dared to break from fashion. To do so would mean losing their place in the royal hierarchy. And let's not forget the risk of fire. Many wigs were so heavy that they caused chronic neck pain, and some even caught fire from nearby candles. 4. Food at Versailles. A royal kitchen nightmare. Now you'd think that a royal palace like Versailles would have impeccable food hygiene. But think again. The plumbing system was so poor that raw sewage often backed up into the kitchens, contaminating the food being prepared for the royal court. In fact, at least once, wastewater reached Queen Marie Antoinette's private kitchen. Without refrigeration, ventilation, or waste removal, the royal kitchen was a breeding ground for contamination. Meat spoiled quickly, fruits and vegetables sat out for days, and pests roamed freely. Yet the royal chefs had no choice but to serve up these potentially hazardous meals. The consequences? Diarrhea, vomiting, and even intestinal worms, especially tapeworms, became common among the royal court. The worst part? Even King Louis XIV wasn't immune. It's said that he passed a 6-inch long tapeworm, a grim reminder that even the most powerful man in France couldn't escape the effects of poor hygiene. The disturbing reality of royal burst childbirth in the royal court was more of a public spectacle than a private moment of family joy. When a noblewoman or queen went into labor, her delivery was open to public scrutiny. The room would be packed with courtiers, doctors, priests, and noble observers, all watching and waiting to ensure that no royal baby had been secretly swapped for a healthy male heir. This lack of privacy was a nightmare for the women involved. The emotional and physical distress of childbirth was made worse by the presence of an audience, and the risks were terrifying. With no modern medical knowledge and without antibiotics, 1 in 3 children died before the age of 3. But even worse, many mothers died from infections caused by unsterilized hands and unwashed tools. So while royal births were national events, they were also marked by immense suffering. Women were expected to bear children in front of an audience, without privacy and often in great pain. So, there you have it, 5 grotesque truths from the glittering halls of Versailles. Beneath the opulent gowns, the powdered wigs, and the golden chandeliers, royal women endured lives filled with discomfort, indignity, and danger. They were the faces of grace and sophistication in public, but behind closed doors they were scratching, suffering, and surviving in ways that we often forget to mention in history. If you thought royal life was all about ball gowns and banquets, think again. The real story is much messier and far more human. Until next time, keep exploring the past, because history isn't just fascinating. Sometimes it's downright filthy.